29 years ago, the Dream Team graced us with their presence at the 1992 Olympics. Man, almost 30 years ago. And who better to chat with than the director of the Dream Team documentary, among many other great NBA docs, Zak Levitt. Zak, it's a pleasure.
Thank you so much for inviting me, guys. I'm excited to talk about it.
Oh, you have a lot of stuff to your work. So, Zak, we're going to get into all of it. So we'll get it started.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
So, Zak, we like to break the podcast into 3 acts. And the first act is your story. Where did you grow up and where did your love of sports and storytelling intersect?
Yeah, so I grew up in Woodstock, New York, upstate New York, small country town, no stoplights. And I grew up playing baseball and sandlot football. And those were my two sports, really, because they were really the only 2 sports I had access to. There was a broken down basketball court in town that nobody at that time really played. And so we would play sandlot football and, you'd see broken arms and dislocated fingers. And I slowly got really interested in basketball as I got older. I happened to be 5'3" in 11th grade. Now I'm just about 6'2", so I shot up late. So basketball was never really an option for me, although I played every day and began to love the sport probably around 14 years old when the Knicks, really started to get busy in the Eastern Conference and developed, a crazy rivalry, of course, with the Chicago Bulls. Loved Michael Jordan, but also hated him because he beat my Knicks every year. So coming from a small town, my father lived in Florida. Parents got divorced when I was very young. So I had a choice between a Florida school, a Florida college, or New York. And of course, I made the obvious choice to go to the fun and the sun. Went to Florida State University and was actually pre-med until my senior year. Growing up, I always either wanted to be a doctor or actually an actor. But I didn't have the guts to pursue acting, to really take that risk. Everybody around my family was very risk averse, go with a profession that's safe, etc. I got to college, and by my junior year, I took organic chemistry, and I said, I don't think I want to be a doctor, and changed it all around, and ended up going to graduate school in Miami for sports management at a small school called St. Thomas University, which at the time was one of only a few schools that offered a master's program in sports management. But I was always so interested in film, and it was funny, for some of the projects that we had to do in graduate school, they had to be sports-based. How would you start a franchise? Those types of things. What would you do? Create a business plan for a franchise. And I remember my business plan was about a movie-themed restaurant. So I was totally moving away from sort of the sports business piece and more towards the film piece. I had no idea how to really engage with film. I loved film. I didn't really know where to start with, as far as making films, right? How do you do that? How do you get your first step in that? At the time, there was an opportunity to take a job in the Heat video room, the Miami Heat video room. They had come on the first day of graduate school, along with front office members of every franchise and sport you could imagine, both on the collegiate level and the professional level. They had come to St. Thomas to solicit interns. And I said, hey, let me try to work for the Heat. I love basketball. Even though I love the Knicks, I'll give it a shot. And I ended up being asked if I would do game day, take stats on game days in the video room for their video coordinator, who was a person named Spoelstra, who of course is the second most tenured NBA coach right now for the Miami Heat. Just an amazing person, amazing coach, amazing at all levels. And I worked for him that whole season, taking stats with a pencil on a yellow legal pad for Pat Riley. Shots contested. It was Riley's first year, I think, that year as well.
I gotta pause you for a second. He let you use yellow because everything's blue.
I guess they either couldn't afford blue at the time, or it was only for the coaches. Actually, I do remember Riley and Spo. Spo would walk around with the blue paper in his back pocket like the coach at the time. But yeah, we had the legal pads, and literally, I can remember a shot. We would draw like a semicircle for the 3-point line, and each shot was a line. And if the shot was contested, we would put the line in a circle, and then I would give that to Spo at the end of the game. And it was an amazing experience. Both, working for him, I lived right next to him. We became friends, and working for the Heat at that time when they were, transferring to the Riley era was amazing. And then the next year, I was a full-time intern for the Heat. Being the guy holding the big foam hands on the court during timeouts, like trying to block people's shots and stuff like that. And that was right at the height of the incredible rivalry with the Knicks. And I'll never forget, I was standing right on the baseline when that major fight broke out between PJ Brown and Charlie Ward. And I was just an intern, and I was standing there trying to help break it up with the security guards. And I was a Knick fan, and of course I was very conflicted, but so getting to, I know I'm,
I'll slow you down. I'll slow you down for a second. So walk us through, give me a second. Let me start over. You were on the court for that. Walk me through that moment. How did you end up on the court? What happened?
I think I was waiting at the corner, when it would be close to when there would be the TV timeouts. The interns were always helping the on-court performers get out there, get their equipment out there. And I can't remember what we were about to do during that timeout, but it was right before timeout. So I was standing right in that corner waiting to go out onto the court. And sure enough, right in that corner, I can't remember if Charlie Ward fouled PJ Brown or the other way around, but it was a really hard foul. And they got tangled up, and it just became a brawl. And I was standing right there, and all of the security guards came sprinting over to try to, keep the fans out of it, of course, and break it up. And I was standing right there, and I was literally like, you could probably see me in the video, like reaching in, trying to pull people apart. It was the intensity at that time was insane. I think the next year was the LJ Alonzo Mourning fight, right? Where Jeff Van Gundy got caught in the middle holding onto Zoe's leg. The rivalry in the East at that time, it was physical and fierce.